Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Crafting for Profit, the podcast that helps creative entrepreneurs turn their passion into a thriving business. We are so excited about today's episode. We are diving into something literally every product based business owner wants: more visibility, more sales, more credibility without pouring money down the drain.
So today we are joined by Gloria Chou from Gloria Chou PR. Gloria is a small business PR strategist who specializes in helping makers, product-based businesses, and creative entrepreneurs, basically all of us here, get featured in national gift guides and other media outlets without having a PR background or any contacts.
I'm so excited that Gloria is here. She's helped thousands of small businesses land features in places like BuzzFeed, Forbes, Good Morning America, and more. And if that sounds good to you, she is breaking down her exact strategies today for getting your products into gift guides and building real momentum using organic PR.
So, as always, this episode has been pre-recorded, but if you're watching the live premiere with us on YouTube, we are over in the chat answering your comments. If you catch it after the live premiere, or if you're listening on your favorite podcast network, we also have a form in the description of the YouTube video and in the podcast notes where you can ask us other questions. All right, we're ready to dive in?
Let's do it. So to kick things off, Gloria, can you tell us a little about yourself, how you got into PR, what inspired you to help small businesses, and kind of explain the difference between PR and marketing a little bit?
Lovely to meet all of you. Thanks for having me. So I'm really not your traditional PR gal, right? I've never worked a day in my life in any PR agency or marketing. I actually used to be a US diplomat. So like no connections, cold called my way literally by typing in the search box, New York Times newsroom with sweaty palms. So I've always kind of been an outsider. And I think because I've been an outsider and I didn't start with a lot of fancy connections, I've been able to crack the code and now I'm making it really accessible. So for those of you who are listening to this, you're going to hear things you've probably never heard of. This is stuff that you can't Google. And I really think the time is ripe for a disruption because PR has been so gatekept and so expensive for so many creative entrepreneurs who just don't have access. And I just refuse to think that that's just how it should be. And my whole thing is like, how do we still get seen and how can we really leverage the media? Because hint, hint, journalists are actually looking to talk to us. We're actually doing them a favor and actually work with the journalists themselves. So that way we can really leverage what has always been available to big box brands. So to start off, what is PR and what's marketing? It's a really blurry thing, right? Because raise your hand if you get those scammy messages. If I'll feature you in a 40 under 40 or some random things, fees apply. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about those pay to play features, which are just logos that you buy, but it's an advertising. We're talking about real earned media, which is really the pinnacle because when you can have a feature in the New York Times or Oprah's Favorite Things or BuzzFeed, or all of our people have, it gives you something that no other marketing things will do, which is SEO and credibility. And so I always say that marketing is you talking about yourself, but PR is your industry talking about you. And how do we compete with big box brands? How do we get our Etsy shop to be really legitimate is through these PR features. And people are looking for products to feature. Journalists are not looking at how many followers you have. They're just simply trying to create stories. And we actually depend on journalists to discover fresh indie brands and not just give us the same old big box brands. So it absolutely is a fact that they want to feature you. You just have to know how to get in front of them. And so today we're going to talk about the very easy ways that you can find and connect with journalists and get featured, even if you don't really have a great following. A lot of people have tiny followings, and even if you just got started.
Awesome. I think this is really great for our audience because we have a lot of really incredible makers, but a lot of people who just are struggling to grow on social media and, all of these things, which to be honest is very difficult. So being able to reach out to different avenues that are not necessarily based on the numbers that you have, I think everybody's going to relate to that a lot.
This is also perfect when your marketing budget is literally zero, where a lot of our people start out at. So I do think this is a valid topic for every single, no matter if you are just starting out, like you just made your first sale, or if you are selling regularly.
Yeah. And especially with tariffs, right? Like small businesses are really under a lot of crunch. And I think what this does is if you can really leverage PR and believe that you can, because a lot of it is mindset. It's just years and decades of the industry saying, well, we cannot do this ourselves. And if you just kind of reject that and say, well, people are looking for these products, I'm just putting it in front of them, you're going to realize like there's a whole ocean of opportunities for me to get featured, not just Q4, not just holidays, but there's gifts for bridal, there's personalized gifts, there's gifts for him, gifts for grandpa, gifts for foodies. And you start to be like, oh my gosh, I can just have one product, but the media is available for me all year round. It's not a one and done. You can get featured over and over and over again.
Awesome. So you talk about how organic PR can help makers grow faster and in a more sustainable way than paid ads or influencer marketing. Can you walk us through why that is?
Yeah. So when I talk about, as a CEO, we're all busy, honey. We are wearing all the hats. So we always have to ask ourselves, how can I work smarter and not harder? How can I take my 1 hour of time or one piece of content and make it go the extra mile? And the answer is PR, because your Instagram expires after 24 hours. We know the algorithm is not showing our content to a lot of people. Ads, you can easily spend $3,000 a month in ads and get very little return. So what's going to give you that SEO is PR. What's going to give you that credibility is PR. And also think about the buying intent. The buying intent of someone who's watching your reels may or may not ever buy from you. You could go viral and maybe those people will never buy from you. But if I'm clicking on, let's say, if you make a piece of jewelry and it's like best Mother's Day personalized jewelry for, the pickleball loving mom, if I'm clicking on that article and reading it, my buying intent is probably 100 times higher, because why would I click on that article? You know what I mean? So there's not another activity in your business that simultaneously checks all of those boxes. The beautiful thing about PR is that you can take one press feature and you can turn that into an ad. You can take one gift guide feature and turn that into a blog or a social media content. But I don't ever want you to just keep spinning your wheel just on social, because of the reach and the lack of SEO and credibility.
I'm going to add here that I worked with an SEO guy last year, and he had me on my website to go in and link everywhere I had ever been featured.
Yes.
On my About Me page, to get that SEO juice going both ways, right? So yes, Good Housekeeping is including me in a gift guide online, but I should also be linking back to Good Housekeeping to the article, saying and it basically tells Google that yes, I am the person that they are talking about in this article, and it can really help with all of that SEO in a way that, like you were saying, other things can't.
Plus, it just gives you that clout when people come to your website that you are in fact a real person. I feel like we're all scared these days that this thing we're clicking on is going to be a scam, and should I really input my credit card information? But when you see that the person is featured on all these places, you're like, oh, this is a legitimate person. And yes, I should definitely purchase from them, instead of going, I feel like people, they're like, is it a scam? Maybe I'll go to Amazon and see if there's something similar, instead of purchasing from that small business owner. So getting that clout, I feel like, will build your business just from the clout aspect.
Yeah. And you're getting that third-party stamp of approval from that publication, right? So it's definitely not a scam. And it's the best way to also beat out your competitors, because we've had so many really small independent makers be featured in a gift guide of 10 different products, some of them with multi-million-dollar big brands. And it's really the diversity of products that journalists are looking for. Again, people are tired of the same. They don't want the same 10 brands. And so you're doing them a favor by giving them a different option.
So we've talked about gift guides a little bit, but let's dive a little bit deeper into those, because they're a big opportunity for makers, especially the holidays are coming up, y'all. Don't sleep on this. So a lot of people don't know how gift guides work. So can you explain what they are and why they matter for small product-based businesses?
Yeah. And again, a lot of this hasn't been made accessible because the PR industry wants to monetize on us, right? But the journalists are writing a crazy amount of gift guides. It's not just Q4. Like I said, there's summer right now at the time of recording. There's a lot of summer travel, back to school, and then we get into fall, and then it's like cozy winter. So there's the seasonal gift guides, there's the holiday gift guides, there's different buckets of gifts for her, gifts for him, gifts for XYZ. And then there's also just general products that are perfect for the season or the consumer taste we're in. So for example, Taylor Swift just had her tour, right? And so there was a lot of sparkly, pink, girl power. So think about how your store, your Etsy store, or what you're crafting could be perfect for that moment. It could be a pop culture thing. It could be Beyonce's Cowboy Carter. It could be a Pantone color of the year. There are so many ways that you can tie it to relevance. And there is arguably not a better time to do PR, because now with free tools like perplexity.ai, it's definitely a better Google search, everybody. It's my go-to for information gathering. It tells you what people are looking for. So just today, I worked with one of the founders, and she makes, home decor items, and you just put into Perplexity. It's free, by the way. And you can say, I am a founder. I create XYZ. Here's my website. can you tie some of my best-selling items to this year's most viral trends, insights, and what customers are wanting? Boom. Within 1 second, it'll give you a table comparing all of the different trends. And then you can decide out of all those 10 trends, what are the ones that connect with your product? And you can keep prompting it. And then you pretty much have like an almost finished pitch that's data backed, that's relevant. And you don't have to keep, looking at a blank screen guessing, well, is the journalist going to care about it? Because it's telling you here is actually the most searched term on Etsy, or here's what this data point. So it's really substantiating what you're saying with hard facts.
That is very cool. I'm really excited to talk a little bit more about the other different tools that you use, because I think that staring at a blank screen is very difficult in just any part of our business. And I wouldn't know where to start to get into gift guides. So knowing that there's kind of a pre-built solution is really great.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we can talk about some of those tools. So for crafters who don't know any journalists, that's me, how do they find the right people to pitch to? Like, other than perplexity.ai, what are some tools and websites that you're using?
Yeah. So boiling down again, as a PR outsider and having made this accessible, getting featured is just really two things, right? It's writing a relevant pitch and sending it to the right person. And if you can put the two and two together, you can just create a system of repeatable, consistent results in your business. So let's talk about the first part, is writing a relevant pitch. Notice how I didn't say write a newsworthy pitch, because I don't believe that there's inherently something that's more newsworthy or not. I've written pitches for toilet paper and also medical devices. So there's no such thing as newsworthy, but there is such thing as relevance. And the perplexity definitely helps you with the relevance. And in terms of like sending it out to the right person, there's a couple free tools. You can find out who is a writer that's going to write about you. It's not going to be the editor at Vogue, right? It's going to be the person covering that beat. And oftentimes it's the shopping or commerce writer. So if you see on Instagram or LinkedIn shopping/commerce, it means that they are a writer who's in the position of recommending products to their people. And that's really great, because that's what we want. So you can install something called a Google News Alert, which is free, and it pings you with all of the different digital articles published about your industry. And whether it's, fitness, whether it's pet products, you start to do a couple things. One is you can start to think in terms of headlines and subject lines, which is really great, because then you think even better in terms of story angles. But then you can open that article and you can copy and paste the writer's name and their email, which is publicly searchable in an ever expanding Excel spreadsheet that becomes your database. That's the first thing. Second thing is you can sign up for free places like Help a Reporter Out, so Haro, or sourceofsources.com. And these are aggregate websites that, journalists are saying, hey, today I need to interview this person, or I'm looking for products for back to school gift guides. And they will tell you every day, here are all the inquiries, and here's exactly how to contact the journalist. Here's what they're looking for. And if you fit that description, then it's so easy to just respond. We had someone who got into 6 gift guides in 30 days just responding to those, right? And those are free. So those are two things: Help a Reporter Out, and also Source of Sources. The third thing is Substack. I just did a training on this in our PR program, but Substack is a blogging platform that is a treasure trove, because so many journalists are freelance. And so they write for many different publications. And a lot of the product writers on their Substack will tell their subscribers first before anyone, hey, I am writing a roundup of this for apartment therapy. Here's what I'm looking for. Here's the deadline. And here's how to contact me. And a lot of times they will actually favor their Substack subscribers more than anyone else. And we've had so many people get featured, including in Forbes, just by following these journalists' private Substacks. And so these are all the free ways that you can leverage the free tools to find out who's writing what. And it's never been easier, because it tells you exactly who to write, who to send it to, what to do. And it's not like you having to write a blank anything from scratch anymore.
This is probably going to date my age, but I remember when I was looking for like journalists back in the day when I thought I might go into journalism, I remember there were like giant books that you had to go to like the library and like look through to get the person's like actual contact information before the internet was like really a thing. And it was just like so much work to get like, I need this PR contact, or I need this person, and I did this. I can literally not remember why, but I remember going to the library and just like looking through these books to try and figure out these certain contacts for certain companies or writers that I needed. And I mean, compared to that, like just being able to find somebody's publicly searchable email address is 1,000% easier.
Yeah. And if you can do that in mass, like if you can do that 10, 20, 30, like it's a volumes game. And then it becomes so much easier.
And I just want to note, I'll list all these websites in the podcast notes as well as the YouTube description for you all, because I feel like that this information is blowing my mind right now. I didn't know, I knew about Help a Reporter Out. I did not know Perplexity has me, like the ideas are spinning in my head.
Yeah.
So you could put your stuff in there and find out what trending topics are related to it, and even use those in your descriptions on Etsy so that it comes up for that in Etsy. So it just has me like spinning that everyone needs to know about these.
Yeah, exactly. One of the biggest objections is like, well, I'm too close to my products, right? I don't know what's trending. Well, you have no excuse. So, we have someone who makes, leather accessories. So she makes like wallets and purses. And when we put into Perplexity, we actually found that one of the top 10 trends was bag charms. And she does sell a bag charm. And so instead of pitching, a wallet or something, we ended up focusing that pitch on a trend of this year, which is bag charms.
I think that's a great idea.
Corey and I just literally yesterday or the day before were having a conversation about charms. Like it just in general, charms, people are just crazy about them right now.
Charms are very hot right now. People are like, they make little ones that like plug into the bottom of your Kindle or your phone. There are just like, charms are starting to trend, guys.
Yeah. So you have no excuse not to start this, because the longer you wait, I always say everything you want is on the other side of the send button, right? And so what is the upside of me sending it? Is I could get featured, I could get more sales. Like, what's the downside? Maybe a momentary sting if they don't respond. But if you're playing a game of statistics, if you're an objective person, you would know that the downside of getting rejected versus the upside, which is 100 times better, I will roll that dice all day. And so I think this is such a low pressure way to get such a great ROI for your effort that like, just start. You have all these free tools. You have AI to help you. There's really no reason not to start.
All right. So we're going to do a quick commercial break here. And this is my ebook. So if you're looking to sell your crafts, obviously you're here to listen to this PR conversation. But I do have an ebook with other ideas for marketing your handmade business. This is an 11-page ebook. And if you're having trouble spreading the word about your crafts or want to grow your business, this is the book you need. And I'm offering it up for just $5 right now.
That is really a great deal, Miss Angie. So this ebook of Angie's contains all sorts of tips and tricks. We've got narrowing down your target audience, branding your business, video promotion, getting referrals, starting small, changing and pivoting, tracking marketing effectiveness, all of these things that I think when we first get started in a small business, if you're just like, I have these great products, but what do I do with them? I think this is a great ebook that Angie has.
So head to link.craftingcamps.com/marketing and use code CFP to get it for $5 now. All right, so let's continue on with our questions. So Gloria, what do you think makes a pitch stand out to a journalist? And can you share some examples of great pitch topics and maybe some things to avoid?
Totally. So I have a framework called the CPR method from just pitching thousands of times and throwing spaghetti on the wall as a PR outsider. Again, I never had any contacts. I never worked at an agency. And I found that what worked really well to get a journalist to respond is that it usually had these three elements. So C is credibility or just confidence in general. You're not coming from a place of begging. You're just basically being very objective and saying, hey, I know that this is what people are looking for this season. I'm simply giving you an option, right? Giving you a solution. So that's the credibility part. P stands for point of view and R stands for relevance. So when I'm looking at a pitch, and by the way, in my free PR masterclass, I give you a screenshot of what this looks like, and you can watch it at gloriachoupr.com, gloriachoupr.com/masterclass. It's free. You want to start off with the subject line. So the subject line is what gets them to open. And the subject line should be very specific. It should not be like, hey, Nicole, here's your $20 off coupon code, right? No, it's, most, best personalized, monogram tea towels for the mom in your life or something like that. So it should read almost like a title of an article and very specific as well. And then when you start the email, you want to go right away into relevance, which is the R in CPR, because what is news if it's not relevant, right? So that's when you talk about what people are looking for as we head into this season, as people are looking for XYZ. I want to show you a little bit about why my XYZ product is perfect for people this season. And then you kind of have the point of view, which is three bullet points about, again, why your product is perfect for that relevance that you just set up so beautifully. And then you kind of conclude with, here's how to find it, here's a price point, here's the shipping, hyperlink to more, maybe insert one or two photos, And then you can talk about any other things that's happened. For example, do your stuff sell out? Is it a fan favorite? Is it certified organic? Whatever that is, that's in the conclusion, which is the CPR, which is the C of CPR. And then you just say, hey, and I'm happy to send a sample. And would this be a fit for upcoming coverage? The tone of the email is not, from a place of desperation. It's not your unpublished autobiography. It's very clear, it's very concise, and it has different sections. And that's pretty much it. That's all you need. Do not make any big attachments. Please do not attach your brochure. Do not attach your slide deck. Use hyperlinks. And so that's really kind of the neat way of packaging an email.
I think that makes so much sense. I've gotten so many emails of people like, I'm so sorry I'm reaching out to you. Like, don't start that way. Don't start that way about being like apologizing for your business.
Exactly. Yeah. The journalist needs content and their consumers are looking for a solution, and you're just providing them with that solution.
I'm glad you mentioned using hyperlinks, because you attach too many photos or attachments or whatever, you're going to land in the spam email box and you're never going to get to anyone. So I feel like that's one solution to not hopefully ending up in their spam box. I feel like if you don't, put those pictures in or make big attachments, it at least gives you a leg up and hopefully avoiding the spam filter.
Yeah, totally. One trick I have is install an email tracking device. So that way you know if it's being opened or not, and you don't make a big drama in your head about, well, this person hates me. Well, maybe it's out of office issue. Maybe it's a deliverability issue. So let's get analytics about whether or not it's being opened. And if it's being opened multiple times, it means they really like it. They just don't have a place for it right now. And so that's where you would, engage with their content, compliment them. Remember, journalists are people, they're writers. So engage with their content, say, hey, I bought my daughter this product because you recommended it. It was absolutely perfect. Thank you so much. By the way, so in terms of your follow-ups, and by the way, you need to follow up because the beauty is in the follow-up. But instead of just saying following up, which becomes very repetitive, try a new angle. Try to reply and say, with a compliment. Try to engage with them. So there's always a way to refresh your angles. And remember that time is not static. So, if they don't reply for Valentine's Day, then it becomes Mother's Day, and then it becomes bridal season. So there's always a way you can kind of revive that pitch.
So a lot of business owners worry they don't have like an exciting story to tell. Like, why would a journalist even want to talk to me? Or like, my products, I just sell them. They're just little products. Like, I think we have a lot of times with our audience, and especially, even with me, I'm just like, they're just the little thing I do on the side. It doesn't feel like newsworthy. So what would you say to people like me and some of our other listeners who don't feel like we have, enough to give?
It's not a narrative storytelling contest. It's just whether or not your product is perfect for that season. And I assure you that as a small business owner, your story will be much more exciting than a big box brand who gets featured over and over and over, right? Than like faces, big company. So if they can get featured, then why shouldn't you? You probably have a story that's more close to the heart about why you created it than your big box brand competitor. So you actually have a much higher advantage, I would say.
And then I have a question I'm going to follow up here. It's not actually in our notes, but should you get featured, how many of whatever should you have on hand? Like, I know it's going to be, applicable to the price point, but if somebody's like, I make these very, special things and they cost a lot of money and they take a lot of time, like, or should I make sure I have 600 stickers on order because they featured one of my stickers and it's really popular?
Yeah. So are you talking about like giving samples? Because you can definitely put in the email, I'm happy to send a sample. You don't have to send a full size sample, right?
Well, it's more, I'm thinking like if you do get featured.
So you want to have inventory, obviously. And if you run out of inventory, again, that's a great problem to have. And then you can put them on a wait list. But I'd rather figure that out later than stop myself from pitching.
Yeah, because I feel like that's my problem right now. I'd be like, whoa, what if I sold 500 mugs overnight? What would I even do? A great problem to have.
Yeah.
But I think that is like an after I pitch me problem.
I like the waitlist idea. And I would also say, like, maybe the first time you get featured, you're like, oh gosh, panicking. But then more times you get featured, hopefully you would get used to like, okay, this is kind of the influx I can expect from a feature. And maybe that would kind of train yourself to, be able to keep that much on hand. I don't know.
Usually if it's like a TV, like, yes, you'll get a lot, but like if it's like digital feature, it could be a slow burn, right? Or it could be not. 500 is a lot. So, I mean, if you get on like Good Morning America, we've had people get on, they'll make sure before you get on TV what the requirements are. So that already will have been taken care of usually.
Yeah. That's really helpful to know too, because that's not something I would have known. I figured I would just call into Good Morning America or go on up Good Morning America, and then I would be screwed and working, every night for the next month to try and get all my orders out. But obviously,
Again, great problem to have.
yeah, not a bad problem to have, but
even an online feature, I'm thinking, could go viral months later. So those features that are online features, they're almost, eternal as long as the website leaves it up, and it could go viral later. So it's not like maybe you don't expect a huge influx of orders right away, but in a couple of months, you're like, where are all these orders coming from? And it's that feature that you had maybe last holiday, and this holiday it goes viral.
Yeah, it's a compounding effect of SEO. We had someone who makes swimwear, and she stopped all social media and ads, and she's just writing on her SEO, and she just focuses on that. But she's been building on it for a long time, right? She got an Oprah's Favorite Things and Cosmo and Vogue and Elle. So it's something you have to start, but it is a compounding activity, unlike social media and ads, where if you stop doing it, then kind of everything comes to a screeching halt.
Yeah, I feel like that's the same way about sort of any passive income that we talk about here, is like, ways that creators can earn other passive income. It's just like, it's not just one and done. It's like you put in the effort and then it continues to reap benefits for you later.
Totally.
And if you get your mugs on Oprah's Favorite Things, I'm sorry, Corey, but you're going to have to have a lot of inventory. So
it's going to be a lot of mugs.
It's going to be a lot.
Going to work on that.
So we talked about the follow-up a little bit, but how do you follow up without being pushy? And because you want to keep that door open for future opportunities, right? So how do you follow up without being pushy? How often should you follow up? Those type of things.
Yeah. So install an email tracking device so that you know if it's being open or not, right? I wouldn't follow up within 1 week. I would give it 1 week, and you can follow up, once a week up to 2 or 3 times if it's being open, if your email is being open. And the best way to follow up is to give a compliment. Like, hey, I love the article that you wrote yesterday, because remember, they're publishing articles as we're waiting. So engage with their content, give them a compliment, and they're people too. So make them feel good. Those are really the best ways. And the third one is by giving them an update. You can say, hey, since I sent this out, we're now sold out of this color. Or since this happened, our people are saying that they love this for XYZ. So there's so many new ways you can refresh the angle, from a compliment to engaging with their content to giving them an update.
I would say be very genuine too, because Angie and I both get a lot of pitches for products for us to use on our YouTube channel. So it's kind of the flip side of this. We're not journalists, but we are reviewing different products. And one, people don't do research. So we get pitched stuff all the time that is completely irrelevant to what we are doing. I am not going to do a makeup tutorial on my YouTube channel. I am not going to sell snow tires on my YouTube channel. They're just like irrelevant. But then I feel like a lot of times it feels very much like a copy and paste, sort of not friendly email. It's like, hey, Corey, I read your article about blank. It was a really great article. Keep doing what you're doing, and it doesn't feel like they actually engaged with the content.
Yeah.
Because like I got one yesterday, it was like, wow, this was a great article. And I'm like, that article is literally irrelevant because the app I was talking about does not exist anymore. So you can say like, I learned so much, but it like literally doesn't mean anything to me because you just kind of BS'd me a little bit. So I think you need to actually put in the work to, actually follow their articles and, that sort of thing, or else it can really come off as very just form lettery.
Yeah. I always say with any kind of writing, when you're trying to connect with someone from the other side, right, and you're wanting them to get a yes, when you're pitching for anything, and the two main ingredients is specificity and relevance. And so if that person was really specific about maybe a quote and then how it related to something, you would not feel that way. You would feel like that's a great follow-up. So specificity and relevance in all types of writing, podcast pitching, wholesale pitching, gift guide pitching, those are the really two things you need to focus on is this really specific and is this really relevant?
Yeah. You keep talking about using an email tracker. Do you have one that you like?
So they're all, I prefer to use Gmail. So, Chrome, I found that's better than Outlook. You can just Google, like email tracking, and there's ones for low price. There's one that's more robust for a higher price. So it just depends. There's a lot of Chrome extensions you can install. It's all pretty easy.
Okay.
And I was going to say that a lot of the advice that you talked about, how to write the email, the follow-up, et cetera, could apply to pitching a podcast, pitching an influencer, So it could apply to pitching other places, not just, the people that are going on Good Morning America or Better Homes and Gardens, but you can also use
Totally.
these same tips for other places.
Yeah, wholesaling as well, like you mentioned. We had an episode on wholesaling, and that's a great tips there.
Yeah, it's just a way to get that person on the other side who maybe doesn't know you to say yes, because you're giving them a value-based conversation and you're not just being like making it all about me, 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 me.
If you do have a full product catalog, would you include the link like maybe at the bottom of your email saying like, hey, this is a relevant thing that's coming up and it's very trendy. If you'd like to see what else I have, here's my catalog.
Yeah. So you can, in the pitch, maybe talk about 1 to 3 items max. But if you have a lot of them, they're probably not all going to be relevant. And so do the work for the journalists instead of having them sift through all of it. Just pick out the ones that are most relevant. And sure, you can hyperlink to the rest of them. But again, answer the question, are you making it easy for the journalist?
All right. So, Gloria, before we wrap up, we'd love for you to share more. You mentioned it one time about your PR starter pack. I know it's specifically for makers and small business owners, and it doesn't require any media experience. So, can you tell listeners how it works and who it's for?
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So it's really about creating access to the media. So what we do is we give you, again, a media database of over 100,000 journalists and podcasters across 125 categories, including gifts, personalized, handmade, artisan, Etsy, gifts for her, gifts for him, like any writer, right? So that's what you have. And then remember, we have all these daily PR opportunities that we are spending hours sifting through: Substack, LinkedIn, which is what I told you. We do the work for you so that you don't have to spend hours doing that. And so we pick out the best ones for product, and then we put it in a syndicate feed. And a lot of people just get featured right away, just replying to those and never actually writing a pitch from scratch. But if you want to, we have all the pitch templates. I show you how to do it with Perplexity, and I'm in the group every single day. This is not a, revolving door of like random people coming in. I know your name. I'm in there every single day. You're not talking to another coach. You're talking directly to me. And I actually bring in journalists who write gift guides for BuzzFeed, Refinery, for Forbes to meet you. And these are people who I have cultivated relationships with year long, who love covering small businesses, who love elevating indie brands. And so from all of those aspects, I am creating finally access to the media in a way that no one has for small businesses. It is so affordable, it's so accessible. A lot of people have spent more than that on ads within 1 month, but you can get started for just $175 biweekly. And I give you 6 months of real deep on-demand support.
So you can find that PR starter pack by going to link.craftingcamps.com/PR. Very simple URL for us today. And you can get started. I might be going there after we finish recording this podcast.
Yeah, I'm kind of excited about it myself. Okay, so I feel like getting into gift guides is now doable for our listeners. So if you have felt overwhelmed by the idea of pitching yourself to these outlets, hopefully this episode helped you. And then Gloria, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so glad it finally worked out. We rescheduled this a million times for the listeners.
I was like, I think it's going to work today. And I was so excited because I've been wanting to talk about this topic. And I think even though we can do this year round, I think coming up into the holidays, this is like prime opportunity for people to really wet their chops. Is that a phrase?
Totally.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me.
If you are listening and you want to learn even more about how to use PR to grow your business, definitely check out Gloria's PR Starter Pack. We'll drop the link in the YouTube description and the show notes so you can learn more.
And as always, thank you to our amazing listeners for tuning into Crafting for Profit. If you found this episode helpful, be sure to leave a review, rate our podcast, leave us a love note. We love to read those. And if you think that a friend would enjoy this episode, be sure to send that to them right now and subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. Happy crafting, everyone.